I want you to imagine for a moment that you're in a bad relationship, you have no job, you have a business, but you can't run it, and you have a 15-month-old son, and you are now in a global pandemic. Most people would feel stuck, but I didn't. I actually found the courage to pack my bags and to move to another country to find my own freedom and to get back to myself. In today's video, I'm going to share how I found the courage to leave it all behind, move to Mexico with my son, and leave the life that I knew and all the things that I knew in it behind. And I found the courage to thrive. I found my way. But more importantly, I found that there is nothing that can stop you but your mind. So, if you're a mother, you're wondering how I did it and how you possibly can do it yourself, then stick around. I'm here to show you. Let's get started. Today's video, I want to share the steps I took, the challenges I faced, and how I built a softer, happier life for me and my son. By the end of this video, I want you to be able to have the tips to help you make your own leap no matter what the circumstances are. Let's go. So, it's actually been 4 years now, and I'm still here. So, so although it seems like yesterday, it's been a minute. But I want you to know if you are feeling stuck, if you feel like you're a single mom, or even if you're a retired person and you're trying to figure out how you can actually like design a softer life abroad, today I have some things that may help you. So in 2020, we all know what happened, right? Out of nowhere, we had this global pandemic, right? And so 7 months into the pandemic, I was living in Virginia and I was a first time mom. I was in a unhealthy relationship. I had no job. My business I couldn't run because I was an expat consultant and I helped people move abroad. Well, they couldn't move, they couldn't do anything, and neither could I. So I kind of felt strapped. And I felt like everything I was trying to do, this there was no movement. I couldn't do anything. I was exhausted, I was unfulfilled, and stuck in a cycle. But I knew that there was something just on the other side. So, in about October of 2020, a friend and I went to Mexico, and I had this package. There, I went to go to this resort, and literally there were there weren't that many people there, but I started to look around. Now, I had lived abroad previously and I missed my life. But now I had a whole new life. I was a new mom and now I was kind of stuck at home and I was trying to figure out, where did I actually see myself in the grand scheme of things? And it wasn't looking like I was anywhere in the mix, okay? So, while I was in Mexico, I just kept having this feeling like, can do this. I don't know why, but I kept telling myself, you can do this. So I got back home and I literally put something on Facebook like, if there was anywhere that I could live abroad, where do you think that could be? Or something like that. Very similar. And one of my girlfriends who actually popped up on my Facebook while I was in Cancun, she was in Tulum and it said friends nearby. And so we chatted. We didn't get a chance to connect, but we chatted while we were there in Mexico. she actually responded and said, "Hey, consider Merida, Mexico, because we're about to move there." And so we chatted off in the DMs, and basically she was telling me that they were going to go see. So we kind of made an arrangement. I went down to Merida in February of 2021. Um, and at that time, I looked around, and at that time, I took my son with me, and so we kind of looked around. We were there for a week. Her family actually stayed a month. We went back home, and I made a decision. So I talked to my partner at the time, and I said, "Listen, I really want to live in Mexico. Do you think that's somewhere you would want to live?" And he like went ham. He was like, "This is irritating me. I don't want to have this conversation. I can't believe that you even bringing this up." No. And so I made up in my mind, I'm going. And I was hoping that eventually he would come. However, I felt like, have you ever been in a relationship where you feel like, where you're currently at is not working, but maybe it might work somewhere else? However, I'm not sure that that would actually have worked. So I knew I had to choose me at that particular point, and so I did. So I decided, I was going to get my business back up. The friend that was moving to Merida, we had made a discussion about actually starting, restarting and revamping the business in Mexico, because there were a lot of expats who were moving because it was so close. So, with all that being said, fast track, my lease was coming up in April. So it was already the end of February, the beginning of March. I had like little to no time to make a decision, and I did. I started looking at all the visa requirements, how to get my temporary residency, and I filled out all the paperwork. And at that time, since it was still the pandemic, all the offices were closed. So I had to do everything online. But I went ahead and established everything I needed. I sold everything in my home and moved forward. That's what I did. Was it easy? No. But everything started to fall in place once I made a decision. So this is where I want to stop and say this. Once you decide that what you are currently doing no longer serves you, and what you want to do is where you really want to put your focus and energy into, then everything else will start to line up if it is for you. If it's for your highest and greatest good, start moving in that direction, and it will all start to move to benefit you. Everything, all the energy will start to move to benefit you. So that's where I was. I was in a place where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so that's what sparked my motivation for moving. So I'm not sure where you're at in this process, but if you found this video, you found this video for a reason. So stay with me. I promise this story of how I did it will change your life. All right. So let me just go ahead and give you the real challenge and the resistance. So when I finally brought this to my partner, that this is what I wanted to do, and the resistance started coming up on his behalf, and he was totally not feeling it. But this is what shifted everything. I remember him telling me that, because he works for the government, and when you have a black man that works for the government, or I just feel like it's everybody in the DMV. When they get a government job, they got their good government job, the good government job. They not leaving, right? Because it takes so much to get in, that once you get there, and then like the lack of having to do anything for the money that you're making, you get stuck and complacent because you have a good government job. Well, that's where he was, but that's not where I was. Like, I literally didn't have a job anymore. I lost my job prior to having my son. And then I had a business, but my business was consulting and helping expats move abroad. So nobody was moving, right? And so I kind of felt like I'm in this rock and a hard place, but I had this desire, right? And let me tell you what pushed me, because there were some apprehensions and fears, and I wasn't necessarily happy in my relationship because I was going through some things, and I was trying to get him to a place, and he kept just being contrary to everything that I was trying to do. And so I wasn't happy. And so as I'm trying to talk to him about this, he said these key words. How you gonna go live in a foreign country? You don't have no job. You don't have no money. You ain't gonna make it. Baby, let me tell y'all something. That's all you needed to say. That's all I needed to hear, because it was those words that solidified. I not only will I do this, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to succeed. Because listen, I'm a Taurus, and I don't play them games. When you come for me, be ready, because I'm here to play to win. I'm not losing. And so from that moment on, I knew I was moving to Merida, and I knew that I was going to make this happen, hell or high water. So that's what I did. So the plan was, our lease was up in April of 2021. And I was like, listen, I can sell everything, liquidate everything. I had an Infinity SUV. I went to CarMax. It was paid off. I went to CarMax. I saw how much I could get for it. I sold it the day before I actually left. And I just started to move. I literally liquidated everything in our apartment. And then there were certain things, because, listen, he didn't want me to go. He had signed off on it, but he didn't want me to go. And when I say he signed off on it, my son had a passport, and then he already gave me permission and a notarized letter and all of that. So I was legal to take my child out of the country. But he was working against me. So he wasn't like helping get the apartment together or anything. I was doing that all by myself. And so I went into overdrive to like sell everything. And everything started to sell really quickly. I had some nice items, and a lot of things were fairly new because we had just moved into that particular apartment the year before. And so I just went to doing what I do. I made a list of all the things that need to happen. I put my plan in place, and I was ready. So I'm going to stop and say this, that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. What does that mean? It means that when it is your time, there is nothing that can stop you. Like if you put your desires in motion and you start moving towards that, don't worry about how it's going to happen. It'll all come into play, right? Everything will start to move um, for you in your benefit. And I'm thinking of The Alchemist. If you haven't read The Alchemist, I suggest you go read The Alchemist. But when the shepherd boy was like at a place where, okay, I don't know what to do, like one of the statements in The Alchemist is, and I'm not quoting this because I'll mess it all up, but basically he says that the the universe will conspire for you once you have made the move to move forward. And so that's exactly what happened. The universe conspired to move everything in my direction so that I could move forward. And I literally, within 60 days, was able to put my plan into action and move out of the country. I left on May the 9th, which was Mother's Day of 2021, and I haven't looked back. So if you are thinking to yourself right now, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know if I have the resources to do it. I don't even know what to take to do to make the first step. Baby, I get it. I've been there, I've done that. And I'm gonna say this. All you have to do is decide. That's your first step. Start there. It's not that complicated. Get out your own way, and you're going to have some mind shifts because the mind will tell you why you can't. And it told me. I had all kinds of things going on in my mind. Like I halfway believed him. Like, okay, what are you doing? You don't have no money. You don't have no job. But I made some money. I was actually had a side hustle anyways, and so I was gonna be all right. And I had a pretty good lump sum when I actually left. So I knew that once I got there, that the next step to the way was going to reveal itself. And it did. So once I got to Mexico, and literally, this is what happened. I arrived to Mexico. I had an Airbnb. I only got the Airbnb for like a week and a half because I figured I'm gonna hit the ground running and I'm gonna find me a place. On day two, I found my apartment. It was a townhouse. They were still building it. It pretty much was finished. They had some things that they needed to do for the end of the project, but for the most part, it was finished. And so they told me that I could actually move in on the next week. Well, the next week was my actual birthday. And so I knew I was going to go celebrate my birthday in Cancun. And I was like, okay, no problem. So I made arrangements. I found a nanny. My child's sister came to assist me so that she could watch my son. And then I made the arrangements as far as like, okay, what am I going to do as far as furniture, because it was an unfurnished townhouse. It was newly built. They were still finishing it up. And I went on Facebook Market. I found a brand new couch that a man had just bought like 4 or 5 days prior, and it just wasn't a good fit in his home. So when I arrived, he gave it to me for little of nothing. I had a lady who took the furniture to the house. I went to Sears, started buying things. Listen, I started putting it all in motion because I knew, okay, I already have the house. And my realtor was like, do you not want to see other places? I said, no, no, no. I found where I want to live. We don't have to do no more. And I literally just went to like furnish it. And so when I originally moved in, I had the couch that I purchased on Facebook Market, and I went to Costco and I bought a king size bed. And then I went on Facebook Market to find the frame for my bed. And then I went to Walmart, got me one TV. Actually, no, I got two TVs. And I had one downstairs, one in my room. And then I found a dining room set, and that is all I needed. So I started slow, and then everything started to come together. It wasn't that difficult, but there were moments because this was all new to me, and I was taking really big leaps and it was all happening really fast, that there were times I doubted myself. I thought, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Are you crazy? How is and I kept hearing his voice in the back of my mind telling me that I couldn't do it." And that is what sparked the like I have to be successful in this because I can't go back. I have to be able to move forward. And hence, that's what happened. So when I originally got to Merida, I found um Brothers and Sisters of Merida. And at that time, it wasn't a really big, I think they have over 15,000 members now. But at that time, it wasn't very big. Most of us were all just moving there. And so there was a group of us, my friend that I had known since Korea, her and her family, her husband and I actually knew each other before we moved to Korea. And I started building community. And I had a group of friends that, I had the friend that already moved there, that she moved there like the week after I did. So we were kind of doing this process together. So that made it a little bit easier. Plus, she had children. I had a child. And then I had met another young lady, but she had a child. And then a couple more women had showed up. So we had a little tribe that was growing, and we were all fresh in Merida and growing together. And so that helped. And then once I got back from my vacation in Cancun, I literally went to interview nannies. I had found one nanny, but she was just about ready to graduate, and she had took a teaching job in Mexico City, and so that didn't work out, but we ended up just staying in contact. And then I went to a nanny service. They sent me a nanny, and I really had a great feeling about her. We interviewed. She stayed with me for a couple hours, and then I hired her. And so from that point on, I had my nanny. Couple weeks later, I went to my friend's house. She had a housekeeper. I asked her housekeeper, does she have anybody she could recommend? She recommends her cousin. Her cousin came, started working for me the next week. And I literally had my tribe, I had a nanny, I had a housekeeper, and then I went to Sears and got me a washer and dryer, and baby, it was on and popping. So I started to build my home and started to like put the things in that I wanted and made it my own again. It wasn't the same as in America, but it was my home away from home. And everything just started to come together. So I say all that to say, when you take your first step, the next step will show up, then the next step. And you don't have to have the whole plan put together, but you do have to know what it is that you want. And you have to have some belief and confidence that what you're doing is going to happen. And then you move forward. If you need assistance, ask for it. You can start asking people for assistance. And I want to preference this. When I left, this was my not my first time moving abroad. So that made it a little easier. Plus, this was actually what I did for a living. I actually help people get settled and move abroad. So I wasn't able to do that in the pandemic because all the companies that I was working with had basically halted all travel. So nobody was sending people to work abroad in other countries. And so I took my experience, and I think that made it a lot easier for me. So this is where I want to say that if you're a single mom, if you're retired, if you're a self-initiated expat and you found this video and you're thinking about doing this for the very first time, or you need assistance because maybe you're moving somewhere that you've never even thought about before, I can help you. So please go down to the description of this video and you'll find Work with Me. Click on the link and let's talk about how I can assist you in making your dream become a reality because you don't have to do it yourself. So, back to the video where, you know, sometimes it's just the right situation and everything falls into place as you want it. Now, were there challenging times? Yes. There were times where let me just tell you, because I had rented a brand new place in Mexico where they don't do the same kind of checks to make sure that this is a ready to go unit. They didn't run water checks and things like that. So the very first heavy rain, baby, I had water running from my rooftop all the way down. I had three levels. I had a rooftop, um, like bar area. It had a bathroom up there, and all of a sudden I hear all this water coming down. I'm on the third level, and I hear the water just And I'm like, what does that sound like a river? I went upstairs, and as I'm coming up my to the second floor, I see all this water gushing down. I thought, oh my God. And so I had to go get towels and I had to go and buy a wet vac because all this water is in my house. But even with those challenges, I still felt like I was on a better path. I felt like I was coming back to myself. And eventually I did. It wasn't always easy, but baby, it was worth it. So I want to encourage you that even when it gets difficult, just don't go back. Keep moving forward. So it has been worth it. We spent 3.5 years in Merida. My son was 15 months when I took him to Mexico. And he has now, that was his very first country. That was his first stamp, was in Mexico when we went to go do our scouting trip. And since then, he's been to 11 countries. Next month, he will go to his 12th country. So, let me just say this. You know, there were times that I would feel really sad because I wanted his father to be in his life, to be there every day, to experience all the things that, you want your child to experience, the birthdays and this and that. Now he has been there for every birthday since, we departed. Um but there were very challenging moments. Listen, I got stories to tell. But at the end of the day, what I knew was that, like they tell you on the airplane, you have to put your face mask on first. I had to secure my face mask. I had to be able to breathe. I had to be secure. I had to be happy because you know, relationships are not guaranteed, right? You can do everything that you think is feasibly possible to keep a relationship together, but a relationship is a two-way street. You are relating to someone else. And if everybody's not on the same page, it just won't work, right? And so I beat myself up many days because I wanted a family. And here I am as a single mom. I'm in a foreign country. I felt really bad because I wanted my child to be able to see his father. I wanted him to experience having his father there with him, but it just wasn't in the cards. And so I went back and forth for a while of how do I make this work? And it wasn't that his father didn't want the relationship. It's just it wasn't a good fit. And he was unwilling to make some adjustments to make the relationship what it needed to be. And so I had to make hard decisions and I had to think about how can I show up and be the best version of myself? How can I be happy? And show up so that my child could see that this is what happiness looks like, if nothing else. And so people will try to tell you that what you're doing is selfish, that you're not making the best decisions for your child or for whomever. But at the end of the day, let me say this. I have lived majority of my life taking care of and making sure everybody else was happy, that at this point, even being a single mother for the very first time, and I knew I was going to take care of my child, right? And I'm going to have to take care of him for a pretty long time, right? So I had to make a decision where, look, I have to now start thinking about me because if he doesn't see a happy, healthy person, how is he going to know what that looks like? So I had to position myself in a place where I was happy and healthy. And I had to create a soft life for myself. So this is where I started Life's a Vacay. And I literally was living a real life of vacation. Like I would wake up, I would be like, okay, what am I gonna do today? And I would be like, okay, we're going to the beach. And we would go to the beach. And I found a beach club. I had a membership at the Hyatt where, because I didn't actually have a pool at my place. So we went to the Hyatt to go swimming. We, whatever it was I wanted to do, if it was going to Chichen Itza to see the pyramids, if it was going to a chocolate factory, whatever it was I wanted to do, I did. And the money came because I started catering because I had to figure out a different way to make money because the business that I had was no longer viable at that particular time because of the pandemic. And so I started cooking, I started having events, I started making a way. And eventually, I had all the things that I needed to survive. And then angels started showing up. Like literally, I put something out on Facebook in the group, and it was really funny, but I was serious. And I was like, there has to be some grandmothers around here that want to interact with children because you can't be around your grandchildren. And I know that you came to Mérida to get your groove back, but listen, Stella, it's time for you to give back. And so a couple people was like, "Hey, I can help," and I got a surrogate grandmother out of the situation. A retired ex-school employee came down to Merida and eventually fell in love with my son. To this day, they still talk every day. And I had a built-in support system. Not only did I have a nanny, I had a housekeeper, and then I also had like a Syrian grandmother who helped me in between while I was catering and hosting events. And then I had a group of friends that we all were either single moms or mothers working together. And that kind of solidified how I could move forward. So I'll say this, that everything that you want, if you write that down, all the things that you need to make this life that you want to live abroad feasible, you can make it happen. If I can do it, you can do it. So I want to advise you to plan, but don't get stuck on perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. You will have hiccups. I'm not saying don't have a plan, but don't try to make the plan perfect. That's what I'm saying. Choose you. Choose you. If it comes down to between you and somebody else, choose you. You have to put your face mask on. You have to make sure that you're good before you can help anybody else. Give from your overflow. And also think about the life that you want to live. And if you're currently not living it, listen, it's time for you to design the life that you want to live and then actually live it. I also want to let you know that, the first step is always the hardest. But if you keep on moving in the right direction, the next step will come and it gets easier and it gets easier and it gets easier. Then an angel shows up and it gets easier. Another angel shows up. That's just how life works. But don't stay stuck in a place that you no longer feel like it serves you because then that's when, you know, you start chipping away at your life. So if you have a dream, um, take the leap, trust, know that it is all going to happen and that you will be supported. Know that your parachute will come. Take the jump. Don't be scared. So, if this video has resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, please like, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, I want you to comment down in the comments, you know, what you're scared of, or what you need help with, or how we as a community can support you. And start asking questions because if this is something that has found you and you've been thinking about this, it's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that this has come to tell you something. Listen, let's do it. And if you need help, again, you can go down to the description, click on work with me, and set up a consultation. And I'm very honest. If it's not a good fit, I'm not going to work with you. I would recommend that you work with someone else. But if it's a good fit, then let me help you take your very first step. And so you can get to a softer, better life, a life where you can have more freedom and flexibility to show up and be your true self. Because I know firsthand what it feels like to have a dream and a desire to do something, but to feel stuck. And if I can help you, I want to be that assistance. So I hope this helped. It's my story, it's my journey, it's what I had to go through. Hopefully, your story is totally different. If you are wanting to move abroad by yourself, with your child, with your family, whatever the situation is, I hope you find the courage to take the step to do that. Um, but I hope I get to see you on the other side. Again, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Um, I also have a book that I think will help you, as well as a free expat checklist to help you prepare to move abroad. So, my book is called You Too Can Live Abroad, and it's a really great book to actually start thinking about some of the things that you need to do to prepare. Again, for me, it wasn't very difficult because I had already lived abroad. Plus, I actually did this work for a living. So, 60 days wasn't anything. And if this is your very first time, I doubt very seriously you can do it in 60 days unless you like really have some serious hustle and you about that life. But you don't have to try to do it in 60 days. You can do it in 90 days, you can do it in 120 days, you can do it in a year. But no matter what, just do it. So I hope this helps. Thank you for listening. And until next time, I want you to always be true to yourself, believe in yourself, and never stop trying. Until next time, I'm Cha. Peace.